Concord women's soccer continues its season-long four-game homestand as MEC play opens up Saturday at 1 p.m. at Callahan Stadium. It's the West Virginia Wesleyan Bobcats, a team that Concord has had a lot of success against over the last handful of years. Coach, before we talk about the game upcoming with the Bobcats, let's talk about your team's performance. I know we don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but their performances against Gannon and Kutztown from the opening weekend. A couple of goals scored against Kutztown. You guys played really about 60 minutes of good soccer. What did you take away from those matches?
I mean, two great teams. Can't take away that Kutztown Gannon are, everything we expected them to be. Hard to break down, disciplined, organised, great going forward. I mean, that showed for them. From a Kutztown perspective, I feel like we had more of the ball. We possessed it quite well. I think we were unlucky in spells. I feel like first 10 minutes it could have been 2-0 to us, and it's a different game if we'd have put the ball in the back of the net. So a lot of positives in that game. I think Gannon, very, very good team. They came out hungry. It showed straight away. I think obviously you want to test yourself against the best teams. You learn a lot more about yourselves playing those games. So, kind of crashed us back down to earth, but at the same time, not something that we're going to dwell on. I think there's positives. There's obviously a lot of negatives that we need to fix, but, I think getting those games early allows us to correct a few things. So, back to work this week and worked hard, ready to try and get a win,
Yeah. A lot of players on your team have never faced competition like that other than last year against Kutztown again. So how valuable is that experience, albeit 2 losses, but how valuable is that for your team going forward?
Yeah, I think you look at the mental aspect of the game. I think for the new girls that were something that they had to overcome. It's a different feeling than in pre-season, a different ball game when there is definitely a lot more pressure in the air. So I think them being able to adjust to that and overcome that and get that out of the system is massively important. But also we're very, very young still. I think we had maybe 1-2 juniors on the field, so we lack a little bit of experience in that, but good for the girls to get that experience under them, and hopefully we can learn from it and progress from here on out.
All right, how about West Virginia Wesleyan? It was a tough first week or so of the season for a lot of the MEC schools, but Wesleyan came out with a win and a draw. They have not given up a goal yet. What do the Bobcats do defensively that make them kind of hard to score on?
I think they just bought in, all in, hard work. You see that when you watch them play. They never stop running, they never stop working. I think they've got characteristics that sometimes are hard to coach. Obviously, 2 clean sheets is great for their confidence. Having 2 positive results, a tie and a win is also, going to be good for their confidence. But, ultimately, I think, they know it's going to be a difficult place to come and play against us, as we feel about them as well. So, right now, not really too focused on what Wesleyan do or what they're going to do or what they could do, just trying to focus on fixing a few things for us and, trying to correct some mistakes that we made this opening weekend.
You talk about focusing on Concord, and that leads me into my next question. Concord has won 6 straight against Wesleyan, a win or a draw in the last 9 contests. That goes back to 2019. What has Concord done well against the Bobcats to have that kind of success?
I don't think any game's ever easy. I think anybody can beat anybody on the day. I think just having the discipline to be checked in, discipline to work hard. I think that's something that we've got to do is match their work rate and outwork them. I feel that way about every team we do play. So, I think if we can work hard, we're obviously at home again. I think our girls are hungry to get a positive performance, a positive result. We had great performances in pre-season, so it's just getting it back on track, and hopefully we can take care of business in doing that.
Not often you ask this question, but I think it is important to the game overall. Wesleyan plays on grass. They'll play their first game on turf after the home wins over Cal PA and Pitt Johnstown. Does that play a factor at all, turf versus grass? How do you view that?
I don't know what their field's like, but grass slows the game down if it's not wet. I think turf is going to be a faster game. I think obviously our field, we want it to be a home field advantage, as do them when they play at home with that grass field. So, they are the only team that plays on grass in the conference currently. I think there's a lot more teams that do play on turf, so that can be an adjustment at times. I think you have to adjust how you do play. So I think, for us, we don't want the elements to play a factor. I think if we turn up, take care of our business, control what we can control, it should be, a good game. But yeah, I think it's obviously, unique for them just being back on the road travelling, but coming to a turf field is something that, they've probably been preparing for with their turf football field, so I'm not really overthinking that.
It's supposed to be a spectacular Saturday. Hope you'll come out to Callahan Stadium and watch Concord in the NEC opener. For head coach Luke Duffy, Wes McKinney, that'll do it.